Deliberations set to continue this morning in the murder trial for Brian Walshe in Dedham, Massachusetts. Of course, closing arguments were Friday, both sides making their case, and then handed off to the jurors. There are 16 jurors, well, 12 regular jurors, but of those 16, 9 women, 7 men. And the question has got to be asked, has the Commonwealth done enough to convict uh, this defendant? Some people thought that this jury was going to come back on Friday, but here we are, extended over the weekend and now into Monday.
Welcome to the global phenomenon, Surviving the Survivor. Here's your host, Emmy Award-winning journalist, Joel Waldman.
What's up, STS Nation? Welcome to Surviving the Survivor. This is the global phenomenon that brings you the very best guests in all of true crime. And welcome. Happy Monday to everybody. Tough to say that today. Perhaps one of the most depressing, disjointed, bizarre true crime weekends that I have ever witnessed. Just an odd news cycle. Of course, you had the shooting at Brown University, and then all weekend long they've got this suspect plastered in the media, only to late last night tell the world, the Providence police, that is not their guy and they do not have a suspect, and that investigation continues. And then down under, Jewish people celebrating Hanukkah, they are murdered in cold blood by Muslim terrorists, and that really turned the world upside down, literally from down under. And then again, late last night, we get word that a comedic icon, Rob Reiner, and his wife are found murdered in their home. And then the chief of detectives holds a press conference last night to essentially say they don't have a suspect, that they're working the case. It was a very oddly worded press conference. So we are quite possibly going to do something related to the Rob Reiner and his wife being murdered. Essentially, we're going to try to maybe do something today. It's something that is in the works right now. But front and center today, Brian Walshe. Today would be day 11 that we extend into. That does not include jury selection, of course, but it is 2 full weeks, now extending into the third week. And jurors are expected to continue to deliberate. And here to help us break this down, as always, Prof. Joe Explains, Joe Patudo, Professor Emerita, University of Nebraska School of Law, who was kind enough to hold down the fort. And by the way, Tim Jansen's wedding, one of the most beautiful weddings I've ever been to, and one of the most fun weddings, which is why I sound like I have a frog in my throat. The COE and I, we were laughing all weekend and had a great time with Tim, his wife Stephanie, and their daughter. And congratulations to her on getting married. It was an extraordinary wedding, and I posted the entire thing basically on Instagram. So if you wanna, you can follow us there at Surviving the Survivor. But yeah. Joe Patudo, I did my best. I listened to closings. It was harder for me to listen to the Commonwealth because there's about 17 people walking in and out when I was trying to do that. Tipton was sort of what I expected. And I think, he's doing as good a job as he can and did as good a job as he can in terms of not only saying that this wasn't necessarily a homicide, but certainly not premeditated. And I think that maybe they've achieved that with this jury. I'm not sure. What do you think of both closings? Was the defense stronger relative to the Commonwealth? And what did the Commonwealth need to do?
I didn't think the defense was stronger. In fact, I thought that he might have done better if he had just focused on reasonable doubt on premeditation and didn't go back to this notion of unexplained death or unexpected death syndrome, whatever it is. It seemed to me he should have focused on what I think is her strongest piece, not suggesting how she died, but simply the state didn't prove it. On the prosecution side, I think she hit all the points she needed to, but I think she could have been stronger and underscored the most important pieces on her side. And were I she, I would have given the premeditation instruction, the part of it that said it can be done in a couple of moments. And I would have said that to them, and then I would have gone through the theory of how they think it was premeditated. So I thought she did fine, but I thought she could have been done a little better. And for my taste, she could have been a little more sarcastic with the defense that the defense was giving. She was pretty even keel and level. And I think I would have liked a little bit of fireworks from her.
Yeah. Now, as far as I understand, there was at least one juror question. Is that right, Joe? Or
Yes.
what do we know about that? That question.
Yeah. It was unclear on Friday because the judge did not read the question aloud in open court, and usually they do. So, and we didn't know, they referred to an exhibit number, and she didn't identify it by exhibit number. But from what we could tell on Friday, it had to do with the rug that had blood on it and the little piece of the necklace on it. And then I watched a little bit of Lawyer Lee over the weekend, and she evidently had the exhibit list. I don't know how she got it. And she, the exhibit that they were talking about was a photo of Anna Walshe on that rug. She may even have had the necklace on it, but it was a photo of Anna Walshe on the rug, I believe, or a photo of the rug with the little necklace piece on it and the blood. And the prosecution theory was easier than when you heard the question to figure out maybe where the jury was, because the prosecution theory was that, or is, that Anna Walshe was killed on that rug. I believe it was in the living room. That's how the necklace got broken. And that he then, the night of January 1, he only went out once, and it was before he did any of the, the questions about how do you clean up blood and all those Google searches. He went out that night and deposited something in a dumpster and went in and bought antiseptic cream and Band-Aids. So the prosecution theory was he killed her then with that knife, and then disposed of the rug pieces. And then later in the week, you recall, he went to, I think it was Home Goods, and bought another rug for that area of the living room. So it looks like, well, since that's what the jury is asking about, it does seem as though they're looking at the prosecution's theory of the case and wanted to look at the rug to see what they could, or the photo of it, to see what they could deduce from that evidence. And I think that the prosecution may even have invited them to do it. So my guess is they are looking at premeditation, and trying to decide whether they think there is enough for a premeditated murder.
Yeah. Now, Joe, one thing that I missed in the travel up to Thomasville, Georgia, is a potential lesser charge here. Now, are they deliberating on? So when we talked about this, basically the entire time through, is you had to have premeditated murder for murder 1. But are they also weighing murder 2 here? And if so, why are they weighing murder 2?
Yeah, and we had talked to a Massachusetts lawyer about how that gets done, and I think it was not accurate. It appears as though in Massachusetts, if you indict murder 1, murder 2 is also goes to the jury automatically, and that's what happened. And so murder 1 is ABCD. It's death, causing the death, intent, and premeditation. Murder 2 is death, causing the death, and intent. So the difference between the two is that premeditation element.
And I know you're not a practicing lawyer in Massachusetts, but with murder 2, let's just say hypothetically, he's not convicted on murder 1, but he's convicted on murder 2. Does that carry a life sentence as well?
Yeah, I think what it is 15 years to life, so it's not life without parole. Okay. So it's obviously a better sentence for him. But I also believe, remember, he's still going to be sentenced on the disposal of the body and lying to the police. And that disposal of the body, if it's associated with murder, something that carries a life sentence, has a 20-year max. And my guess is if the jury comes back on murder 2, that the judge may be very inclined to sentence 20 years on the disposal of the body and even maybe running them consecutively. And
Wow.
that would get you to about the same place that the murder one conviction would have gotten, because it would be available for parole, but he'd have a longer time before he'd be able to be parole eligible.
Yeah, I mean, can you see any scenario here? I mean, I guess there's always a scenario where there's an acquittal. I mean, I can't, but do you see any where 12 people are going to say this guy did not commit some sort of crime here beyond what he's pled to?
No, mainly because I don't think the jury was not told that he pled to those two other offenses. So it seems to me what the jury knows is if they acquit this guy who's doing what they know he did, and where I think they would be fairly convinced he was involved, if they say not a reasonable doubt, I'll bet if you asked them, you think it was more likely than not, they'd all say yes. I don't think they are inclined to think that they want to let him go walking around free. And I think that's what they think would happen. So I don't think there's a chance that there will be an acquittal. I think it's either murder one, murder. My best guess, it's either murder one or murder two.
I would agree with you on that. Real quick, so this was a Christmas wedding. The ceremony was in a place called Thomasville, Georgia, which is like 20 minutes north of Tallahassee. I found out since that Thomasville is best known for being the quail and pheasant hunting capital of the world. And then the ceremony after the wedding, or the reception, I should say, was at Tim's home, and it was one of the most beautiful weddings that I have seen. Had an obvious Christmas theme. At last count, I heard that Tim had 61 Christmas trees in his backyard for this event, and a lot of them were hanging upside down from those Spanish moss trees in his backyard. There were fireworks at the end of the night. It was a wedding for the ages. It was fun. It was funny. Everyone had a great time. The great Monica Jordan was there, and everyone and then some were asking me, when is Wendy getting indicted? And I wish I had an answer for them. And yeah, by the way, if you know the Lindsay Shiver case, who's accused of a murder for hire plot of her husband, who was a college football star, they are from Thomasville. So it's weird how true crime intersects everywhere. But Thomasville, if you've never been, it's worth going to. It's this quaint little, here it is, Lindsay Shiver. Thomasville is this very quaint little town with like little knick-knack type stores. And Joe, you know what they did? You would have liked this. They did we couldn't go because there were events, but on Friday and Saturday night they had what they call Victorian Christmas, with like people dressed, in Victorian era stuff, singing and Christmas caroling. Look at this, Joe. I brought you a gift back from the wedding.
That's very kind. I love presents.
Yeah, but it was cool.
So it's pheasant hunting country and Victorian, elaborate dressing. The two don't seem to go together in the same world. They're very eclectic.
Very eclectic, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I think just about everyone at this wedding had some connection to Tim, who had either represented them or someone in their family. But Tim knows everyone in Tallahassee. He's kind of the mayor, and it was a great time. So
give us some dress information. What were the bridesmaids wearing?
You know what? I have no idea. That's so funny. I couldn't tell you if you literally,
they were wearing long black dresses that had these little floral designs on it. I've actually never seen bridesmaid dresses with a floral design, but it was very pretty. We took lots of photos and videos. I know a lot of people at STS Nation wanted to see that, so eventually I'll try to post it.
If you told me that my children's life depended on what the bridesmaids' dresses were, I literally could not tell you.
They had on black gowns, and you didn't notice?
No, I guess not. I didn't,
It was the first thing Karm said to me, because we sent her photos, and she said, wow, a lot of people were wearing black. And I said, yeah. I said the bridesmaid dresses were all black.
Which is also unusual at a wedding.
Yeah, but it was she was wearing a beautiful white dress.
I
And
saw that.
yeah,
It was beautiful.
it
She was a
was
beautiful bride.
yeah, it was a very cool wedding. Being a Jewish guy from New Jersey, it was quite the experience. And on the way home, let's just say a few people, there were like a bus taking you back from Tallahassee to the hotel in Thomasville, and the subject of pheasant hunting came up, and let's put it this way: there was not much I could say. I don't know much about pheasant hunting, so it was kind of funny. Um, I am seeing Spaces is diving back in here. He just had to log out. I'm seeing the courtroom clock. Space is going to get the that video up there.
Oh, good. Is this the Verdict Watch clock or just a clock in
There,
the courtroom?
there it is.
Just the
That's the
clock.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a few minutes after 9 at the Norfolk County Courthouse in Dedham, Massachusetts. Of course, this is now the 11th day, not including jury selection, of the Brian Walshe murder trial. And Joe, they deliberated for what? Roughly about 3 hours and
Yeah,
change
3
on
and a little
Friday.
more, but they must have had lunch over that time. So
Yeah, so it's probably even less unless
Yeah.
unless they were deliberating while eating, and I guess that is up to the jury. Now, it was interesting, Joe, and I was actually watching you at this point. It was a little bit after 4. Most judges that I know on a Friday would have let the jurors deliberate into the evening, but she said
yes,
4:30 was the limit. Were you surprised by that?
yes. And what I really was surprised at is she asked them, I think at around 4:15, if they wanted to go another 15 minutes or just quit for the day. And if they were close to a verdict, that would have, if you were close, you would have said, well, we'll wait till Monday, because she didn't give them the option of going even a little longer. So we don't know whether they were close or they were in the middle of still discussing because of the way she asked the question. But yeah, I have not been a happy fan of her ending the day when she does every single day, but that's what she's doing. And now I used to laud her for always being on time. In the last 3 or 4 days, she hasn't been on time once.
Mm.
So I may have to revise my opinion of her.
Yeah. The clock, I believe, is at, let's see here. I don't know if this is accurate. 3 hours, 47 minutes, and 51 seconds. As far as we know, Joe, the judge, Diane Frenier, should come out, right, and instruct the jurors this morning. Like, we should see something going on before they go to deliberate, I would assume.
Yeah, I don't know. I think judges differ on that. She may want to remind them that they're not supposed to talk about the case, but I don't know. Sometimes the jurors just go to the jury room and just continue working. But she had told the lawyers to be there. I'm pretty sure she said be there at 8:45. So who knows?
Yeah. Well, Joe and I have been talking here since about 40 after the hour, and it's now 5 after 9. We haven't seen anything. So I'm expecting, to see the judge come in. Genesee Gal here says, I don't like that Massachusetts insists the jury review all the evidence before deliberating. The jury should feel free. Now, I did not know this till right now.
I didn't either.
Yeah, I had no idea. So that would be an obvious reason that, some people thought this was, including myself, thought this was going to be a very quick deliberation. Maybe the only hang-up would be between first and second. But, Joe, is this the first we're hearing of this? That they've got to look at all
Genesee Gal, are you sure about that? Because I think you're right. Jury should feel free to do what they want. And I've never heard a jury be told that you have to go through all the evidence.
And then we've got Ain't No Hollow Batgirl, a frequent new voice here at SDS. And I saw there's a couple of new people in the chat. So welcome to one and all. Is it the law or just the judge's discretion not to inform the jury of the guilty pleas to the 2 lesser charges? In my opinion, I'm not sure. Untruthful, they should have been told. So Joe, is that a law issue or a discretionary issue from the judge?
The judge exercised her discretion after hearing argument from the defense and the prosecution and decided that the jury would not know about the guilty pleas. The reason she gave was, were the jury to have heard about the guilty pleas, she was concerned that the jury would say, well, he's going to be going to prison for something we don't have to pay attention to. We don't have to worry so much about convicting him. So if we can't decide, we'll just say we're hung and forget about it.
This does not surprise me from Fly Girl. Professor Joe did a fantastic job. And yes, she did. And someone said, I'm so tired. I read it as Joel. It said, Joe, you look so pretty, but I thought it said Joel earlier. And I was bummed out.
Well, it could have been. You look pretty.
Yeah, well, it was very nice for Joe, but then I was upset it wasn't me. Here we go. This is interesting. On another note, when does Corey Richens' trial will be mid to late February, but this is a good time. The COE and I were talking about this over our weekend, believe it or not. Now is a very good time. If you have a trial in 2026 that you are desperate for us to cover, you can email us, survivingthesurvivor@gmail.com, survivingthesurvivor@gmail.com. We're going to be doing more and more trials as we move forward because what's more interesting than a trial? They're just built with drama, built-in drama. Everyone has got a different story. The storylines are all different. The drama is different. And the reality of these heinous crimes come into focus also. So, yeah, if you have a trial that you really want us to cover, and by the way, in early January, very early January, there's a big trial out of New Jersey, Paul Carnero. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I'm going to go to it. Originally, I was thinking I'm going to definitely go, but we can cover it. And then in the evening, since the Alexander brothers are not, they're in federal court, it will not be streamed. So we can kind of almost do two trials at once. And that is barring breaking news. Another question for you this morning. This horrific Rob Reiner murder and his beautiful wife. Would you guys like to see us do a show on that tonight? Obviously, it depends on what happens with the Brian Walshe verdict here, but let us know if you'd like us to do a Rob Reiner show tonight. Some are reporting in the media that maybe it was his son who's had some troubles with drug addiction. I read that he was actually in rehab on 17 different times. So some serious issues there. Yeah. But absolutely no confirmation that it is him, no indication that it is him, at least not officially. And the chief of detectives for the LAPD yesterday, they would basically said, we don't have a suspect. It was a very odd press conference because he came out there after everyone was essentially reporting that they thought it was a family member responsible for this. And he's like, no, we don't even have a suspect. So we don't know what's going on. And then, as I said earlier, at Brown University, where there was a mass shooting, they plastered this guy's face and name everywhere. There was a leak, obviously, I think, coming from within the Providence police. And then late last night, like 11 o'clock, they're like, no, that's not our guy. We're letting him go. That guy is going to sue the hell out of the city of Providence and the police, and he's probably going to get a lot of money. And the bigger issue there is that there's no suspect in that shooting. They don't know where this guy is. And apparently, Joe, tuition to Brown University is $70,000 a year. Their endowment is something like $8 billion.
Yeah.
And apparently there's no cameras. What's going on there?
I have no idea. I can't even hazard a guess. But the fact that they're a day in and they haven't apprehended somebody is not a surprise. I mean, it takes a while. And I thought, maybe I'm wrong, the chat might be able to correct me, but I thought there was a hint in some of the news stories, but of course they were wrong on the first suspect, that and maybe the police said something, that the suspect that they had in custody may have given them some lead to somebody else. I'm probably overstating what was said, but it sounded to me as though the person they had was not involved, but maybe was able to send them in some direction for this suspect.
Yeah.
But it's terrible.
Yeah.
I talked to, because, having been on a faculty, was wondering how Brown is going to handle final exams now, because this is in the middle of their final exam.
They canceled them, from what I understand.
Cancel them for good, so that
Yeah.
students will just get a grade based on work
Yeah.
up to that point, or rescheduling in first of the semester, next semester, or what?
That's what I understand. That's what I read, that they they're just getting whatever their grade was for the semester minus.
Yeah. I think what we would have done at the law college would have given the students the option of taking the exam in the regularly scheduled time, or set aside a couple of days after the first of the year where they could take the exam. And maybe even giving them a third option in a class where there were grades throughout. In law college, you don't typically get grades throughout, of getting the grade that the professor would say, here's where I would grade you right now. But law colleges are smaller than universities, so that would be an easier option for us.
There's a lot of nutty people out there, and when they find out that they canceled exams, I hope no one tries to pull a move to get their exams canceled, if you get what I'm saying. But look at this, Jerry. While we're killing time here, by the way, my dad hated that phrase. He said you should never kill time. It's too precious. But while we are killing time here, awaiting the verdict, can you tell us why you call your wife the COE? It just came about one day. She's the chief of everything. She runs the show. She runs the show at home. She runs the show here. She runs the show with the kids. So she's the chief of everything. Sort of a play on CEO, but this is COE. And Joe, the only thing I'm wondering right now, because I can talk all day long, is this judge? I just assumed this judge was going to come out and address the jurors. I mean, what did the jurors just come in and go into the deliberation?
That's what happens in a lot of trials. They just go back to deliberate. I don't know. We don't have anybody there that we can ask.
Yeah, we've got I'll pull this up just so I can show you guys real quick. Oh, there. Oh, that's weird. It goes in there. That's the clock. This is how long they've been deliberating. 3 hours, 57 minutes.
Remember, not only lunch, but they sent that question out.
Yeah.
And we don't know whether they were waiting for an answer before they resumed deliberation, or whether they deliberated waiting for the answer to the question. So there may be even more time you have to take off in terms of whether they were deliberating. So that might be really an exaggerated time, but we don't know.
Someone is saying that it's Linda Mon, my good friend, Linda, that Nick is in custody. That is the son, the troubled son of Rob Reiner, but he's been in custody since last night. If anyone can, not that I don't trust you, Linda Mon, but I would just like, as all good journalists do, just to get some confirmation on that. Does anyone know?
Being able to kill, if one person being able to kill two people with a knife seems to me to be not the easiest thing in the world to do.
No, some of the details are being reported are very graphic too. So it is. I know, or I read that both Billy Crystal and Larry David stopped by the home, and Billy Crystal was apparently on the verge of, tears, was devastated. And I mean, look, his dad was Carl Reiner, who is best friends, or was before he passed, with Mel Brooks, who's still alive. I mean, these are the biggest comedic legends in all of Hollywood. This is like comic royalty.
They didn't let Billy Crystal go into the house, though. That's a crime scene.
No, I think he just showed up outside. I think he just showed up just to see to say hello. Apparently, the daughter, Romy Reiner, is the one who found them, and that's just part of the whole ripple effect.
Boy, and that's going to be a visual picture she'll never be able to.
No, and I don't know about the mother. I assume she was close, but she was extremely close with her father. They would advocate together for different issues. So it was just like one thing after the other, and everything that was going on this weekend all seemed to happen right after Tim's wedding, well, except for the Brown shooting. But then the investigation into the Brown shooting, it was all unfolding. So Tim's wedding ended at like 11 Saturday night, and then everything that we're talking about basically happened after that point. There's a super chat here. Let's see what it is. Joe, what are your thoughts? Here we go. So the judge is coming out.
He is coming out, but boy, that's late. It's, I'm disappointed.
Your Honor, continuation of the jury trial in Commonwealth versus Brian Walshe, indictment 2023-0091. Defendant and counsel are present in court. Counsel, if you'd once again identify yourselves to the court in the record, please.
We'll get to cameras.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ann Yas for the Commonwealth.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor. Tracy Cusick for the Commonwealth.
Welcome.
Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning, everyone. Kelly Porges on behalf of Mr. Walsh.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning, Your Honor. Larry Tipton for Mr. Walsh.
Good morning to everyone. We had a little delayed start because one of our jurors is absent today, luckily. It's juror number 15, who is an alternate juror. I'll see counsel beside of the bench.
All right, so you just heard one of the alternate jurors was absent. But Joe, correct me if I'm wrong. I thought they always, well, I guess every jurisdiction is different, but I know in Florida they let the alternates go.
I didn't think they did anywhere because there can be something that goes on in the jury room during deliberations, and they could then substitute, although then they have to start at the very beginning and go through the deliberation all over again.
In Florida, when we were there for Donna's trial,
They
which is all I
just
could
let them
really
go. I
speak
think
to, but
that's
also,
not-
yeah, in the Sarah Boone trial, same thing. They let the alternates go. Now, if they can, I'm not sure if they can recall them if something happens to restart deliberations.
Well, but they're not, if they're still not under the order to not talk and not watch, they've got a problem. I think I'm surprised. I didn't know anywhere would let that happen. I thought you always kept them just in case.
And
because there are things that happen. Somebody could have unexplained death in the jury room deliberating the case.
Shouldn't laugh at that, but that was funny.
No. And I shouldn't have said it, so we're even.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get that. But in the Donna case, I'm 99% sure that in the trial, they released the alternates and they said, thank you for your service. And I remember it because I was nervous that they just let them go. I said, same sort of thing. What if something happens over the next 2 days where someone can't come in? So this is, but apparently here in Boston, they or in Dedham, Mass, they keep them around, which is probably a good thing. But the alternate is absent, so.
Well, it's not one of the jurors who are deliberating, so.
I don't think this surprises anyone. I love how the COE knew exactly the detail of the bridesmaids, and Joel didn't have a clue. I had no idea. I tried to take a selfie of the COE and I in church, and apparently you're not supposed to do that.
That church looked really beautiful. That organ was wonderful.
Yeah, it was very nice. It was beautiful.
What's the name of the church? Do you know that?
St. Thomas Episcopal. I don't know how I know that. I have no idea how I know that, but I do. And then the COE's like, we got to go. We were a few minutes late. So she's like, let's go through this door. And then she looks at me. She's like, don't let it slam. But it was like an 800-pound wooden door. And I thought I shut it all the way and I didn't. And then it's like the last inch, it slammed shut. And she looked at me. She gave me the death stare. So there you go.
Looks like she's going to talk to the jurors. She's probably going to give them their orders again. Don't talk. Did you talk? Did you look at anything?
Now, Joe, are you a believer in like every minute that passes is more of an advantage to the defense here? Do you think that's true?
I don't know that I would phrase it that way, but I think early verdicts favor the prosecutor. I just don't know whether in a complicated case, particularly one here where they're looking at deliberation, whether the time favors the defense. It does mean
All rise.
they're looking at things. But I do think the other way around is true.
This dude has way too much energy on this court guy on a Monday morning. I hate Mondays, by the way. I'm just
If you didn't have Mondays, you'd hate Tuesdays.
Yeah. I'm Karm barely survived taking care of the kid. And I mean barely. And I was very pleased about that because I want her to know that I suffered too. But she was it was like
No person have anything to do with Honorable Diane Fernandez, Justice of the Norfolk Superior Court. Broad near give your attendance and shall be heard. I said Commonwealth. May be seated. Court is in session.
Court is in session.
They've got an issue about the alternate.
Good morning, jurors.
Good morning.
Jurors, I'll start today. Hope you all had a nice weekend. We'll start today, as we have every morning of this trial, with the 4 questions. Jurors, were you able to comply with my order that you not speak to anyone about this case?
Yes.
Were you able to comply with my order that you not do any research about this case?
Yes.
Be able to comply with my order that you not go on social media or any news media?
Yes.
And do you all still have open minds?
Yes.
Jurors, you may have noticed that we were delayed in starting today, and juror number 15, who is an alternate juror, is not here today for purely personal reasons. And it has nothing to do with this case and shouldn't impact your day in any way. But I did want to not make mention of the fact that juror number 15 isn't here, because then you might be wondering. It's purely personal, nothing related to this case. All right. So with that, jurors, I'll send you back to your deliberations. Thank you very much.
Jury deliberating, all rise. Please bring your notebooks with you. Watch your step.
Follow me, please.
So the clock is going to be really off.
They actually went back, so
they
they
did.
stopped at
It's-
3 hours and 47 minutes. So
Okay, good.
This should be right, and Spacey will start it up once they get back there. So that I'm curious to see if she addresses the attorneys.
I just remind you of the 10-minute rule. Always be within 10 minutes of the courthouse. Thank you.
All rise.
They have a 10-minute rule. Joe, there's
And-
somebody in the chat who said she was on a Tallahassee jury. She was the alternate and she was let go. I don't like what Florida, I think that's not a good idea. And the other thing that Florida does, or at least Tallahassee, that I really don't like is the alternates. You know who the alternates are as soon as they're seated. And that, at least theoretically, means that one of the jurors could figure that out, or in the gallery could figure it out. In other states, New Jersey, for example, and Massachusetts, they pull the alternates from the hat or whatever when they're ready to deliberate, so that there's no way you sit there and there's no possibility that you would know you're only an alternate. I don't mean only an alternate, but you're likely not going to be deliberating. And I think that's the better way to do it. I think Florida should learn from Massachusetts and New Jersey and probably a lot of other states.
Yeah, I remember. The reason I remember it is because I was concerned. What if something happens to one of these people, and you just never
Exactly.
ever know. I'll tell you what was very eerie. Listening to Rob Reiner, not to go back to that, but I will for a minute because I'm just thinking about it. But he was interviewed about the Charlie Kirk assassination, and obviously one is very right wing, Rob Reiner very left wing, and he was just talking about how horrible it was. No matter your political beliefs, you should never be murdered. It was awful, awful, awful to be attacked like that. And it was so eerie because that was just a few months ago. And he's talking about, and this is Rob Reiner now, talking about being attacked and killed. Not that this had any political motivation behind it, but just to hear someone, you just never know what is going to happen to someone in the course of their life, or when your last day will be. So I guess the moral of the story is you got to really enjoy every day. I really doubt Rob Reiner thought that his life and his wife's life were coming to an end yesterday, especially in the way that it did. So it is a very, as did the students in Brown University. They had no idea, as did the people in Sydney, Australia. You just never know. It's very jolting, it's jolting. So everyone, I don't know, you got to appreciate life in the moments, the precious moments that we have here. I did not know I was an alternate juror, an alternate until the jury went to deliberations. That is usually the case, I think, right, Joe? You
Yeah.
typically
Oh,
won't
it
know.
should always be the case. But I thought that in one of the I guess it was Donna's, that I think it might have been Tim who said where they're seated. If you know, you would know they're alternates. Wouldn't be the juror who necessarily would know, but you would know as a lawyer that they're seated in a particular spot. Now, I may have misheard Tim, but if that's the case, I think it's really not a good idea. And if that's true, it's not impossible for a juror to hear that or learn that.
Mm.
So, and I just don't think. I think why do it that way? Why not just get the 14 or the 16, and then at the end you draw the names out of a hat, and you avoid any issue.
Yeah. And here, why does the judge, this is now in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, here the judge, I believe, does choose
Yeah.
the four-person. However, in Florida, it's the jurors who pick it.
Right.
What's going, did there need, I don't know, Joe, do there need to be more uniform rules, or is this just the way it's always been?
No, I mean, I'm a believer in states being able to chart their own course in matters that are really particular to the state. I just think there are better ways and not so good ways to do it. And with regard to how the four-person is picked, there are differences. Often it is the judge who selects, and sometimes it's the jury that selects. And I don't know that there's a great way to do it. I don't know how the judge would be in a particularly good position to be able to select someone who's likely to be able to organize and lead. And the jurors might be in a better position to do that, but I don't know that they're in a great position to be able to tell that. Remember in the Tallahassee and the Donna prosecution, that was that young juror who's raised her hand and said she'd like to do it, and they said okay.
Yeah. 26 years old,
Yeah.
JC. So there was a question earlier. We'll talk for a few more minutes, and then we'll probably, we'll be here. Obviously, there. You heard the judge say there's going to be a 10-minute warning. Essentially, it could be for a question. It could be because there's a verdict. But the question earlier in the super chat, Joe, was your thoughts on cameras. They were writing from the UK where there are no cameras in the courtroom, but here in the United States, some jurisdictions have them. Some don't. Should there be transparency? Let's stick to the United States of America because it's tough to talk worldwide unless you have a thought about it globally. But what about here in the States? For example, New York, neighboring Joe's home state in New Jersey, they don't really have any cameras in the courtroom. It's closed off. But should there be transparency?
Yeah, I think so. When cameras were first introduced into the courtrooms, there was a lot of hesitancy, because the fear was that the lawyers or the judge might play to the cameras, that the jury might be affected knowing that the trial was being at that time broadcast. And if you remember, I have this vague memory that in the O.J. Simpson trial, there was criticism of the judge because there were many who felt he was really talking to the cameras rather than presiding over the courtroom. But we've had cameras are so pervasive now. You can't walk down the street without a camera picking you up. And they've done things like be sure that the jury is sectioned off so you can't focus the camera on the jury. And so I think all of the issues that people were concerned about are gone. It may be that some old courtrooms and states with old courtrooms are not set up technologically to be able to do it very well. But I'm a big believer in cameras in the courtroom. Trial should be open. The Sixth Amendment guarantees the defendant the right to a public trial, but it also guarantees the public the right to oversee and evaluate how their justice system is operating. And also, when you don't have cameras, all kinds of rumors can go as to what exactly happened in the courtroom that day. And it seems to me you're better off being able to see for yourself if you want to see, rather than relying on somebody who reports it, who may just have misseen or misheard, or may have an agenda in the report. So I think there should be cameras in all the courtrooms, state and federal.
I'm with you. And then we could stream it all. Here in Switzerland, we don't have jury trials. The trials are conducted by judges. That's somewhat common, I think, over in Europe. Check out the poll in STS chat. Someone said they don't see the wedding pictures in my Instagram whatever, Surviving the Survive or whatever it's called, my Instagram handle. I put them up at, I don't even know, are they stories, Bugs? They basically go away after 24 hours. COE, you can pull in some photos here and I can put them up.
I'm not going to do it on here just because that feels weird.
Okay.
But because the story's expired,
that's why she's the COE, because she decides she just shut me down. Go ahead.
I will put together an album and I'll post it on Instagram, although I'll have to send it to you, Joel, for you to post because I don't have your password. Okay. Do not say it out loud. And then I will also post another album here on YouTube on the community tab. So just give me probably like 20, 30 minutes.
My password is Joe Patuto, capital J. No.
That won't get anybody anywhere. So
yeah. So Joe Patuto, do you think that we get a verdict today? I do.
I do think so. But I am, of all the things that you ask me questions about, or that I ponder about, the length of time a jury will be out and the length of time that a trial will actually go are the pieces I'm least confident about. Although in the Donna trial, I was pretty sure it was going to be quick. I just didn't remember. We didn't know when the jury was actually going to go to start to deliberate. And so I couldn't say it'll be the end of the day because I had no idea when they would start. But I don't think I'm very good at assessing, but I do think, having babbled all that time, I do think they'll be done today.
Look at this. Court Dog Daniel, you're the man. I'm in the Walshe courtroom right now. You can text or chat from there. This is way bigger than it looks on TV. It's like the size of a small high school. That's interesting, Court Dog, particularly because the Karen Reed trial looked like it took place inside of a thimble. Like it was so tiny in there. People, like you had defendants on top of witnesses. It was crazy. But what's Court Dog? What's the feeling in there? This is why I love STS Nation. You got a quick look at the jurors just now. Give us some scoop. I'm going to scroll down to the end here and see what your comments are. But what do the jurors look like? What's the sense in there right now? Look at this. Hello from Serbia. Welcome. We love Serbia, particularly because Anna was from Serbia, but also my dear mother is from Subotica, Serbia. So welcome to Serbia. It's got a special place in my heart. And I'm going to see what Daniel had to say. It was Daniel, Court Dog Daniel. So people are asking for scoop from him. But Joe, just back to my other question. If this goes to 2, 3, 4 o'clock, do you start to worry that it's something more than a decision between murder 1 and murder 2, or is that just typical to essentially go that long?
There's a lot of evidence in this case, a lot of exhibits, several videos. And if they are really methodical and they want to look at everything, it will take them a fair amount of time. Remember how much time it took for the prosecution to get all that in evidence. Now, they laid a foundation each time, but still, it took quite a while. And if they want to go over everything, if there's a juror who wants to be sure, a lot of time can be eaten up just by doing that. So I do think if it goes to the end of the day, it probably looks more like they would compromise on murder 2 But we won't know until we know.
This is why I absolutely love what we built here at Surviving the Survivor. And I got to tell you, and I'm not trying to be immodest or showing off, but at the wedding, so many people were coming up who say, I'm not in the chat, I don't post, but absolutely love your podcast. And it was really nice to hear. And then you've got Super Planner Girl who helps us out a lot behind the scenes. I'm listening and also writing to Blackwood Door. If you don't know Blackwood Door, she's an OG. I'm writing her a pen pal letter. Blackwood Door is not in prison, so I don't know. I mean, you can write a pen pal letter to someone who's not in prison, but I love STS because I've made some good and true friends. This is why I love what we built here. A lot of like-minded, cool people, and I don't know. There you go. Neverly Darlin, I'm Serbian as well. Look at this. This case is bringing out the Serbs, and I love it. For those who don't know, the Serbian national soccer team is very good, and they're going to be in the World Cup. And because my mother is from Serbia, I got my son a Serbian national soccer jersey, which he is rocking. So there you go.
If I'm not mistaken, Neverly offered to translate something for me. I had an email from someone in Serbia who wondered why the emails, I think they were emails, maybe texts between Anna and her mother, where Anna had said, "Can you come here right away?" And the mother said after the new year, why those texts and perhaps others were not introduced into evidence. And she appended to that text or email, whichever it was, a number of newspaper articles that were all in Serbian. So I had no hope of seeing how they were covering the story in Serbia. The person who wrote said that there was a lot of coverage. And I think it was Neverly who had then texted me and said she could translate, but I thought this is a lot of work to translate. I'm not going to ask anybody to do that.
Yeah, and I think Karm was watching because she texted me and she was like, I could translate, but then she was too busy chasing my kids around. Space Coast pointing out pen pals don't need to be inmates. I don't know. We're doing a murder trial, and then Amanda's like, I'm a pen pal of Blackwood Door. Blackwood Door can be an intimidating force. So then prison came into mind. That's how it
pen pals mean this sort of pen, not pen as in penitentiary.
Look at this. We got another update from Court Dog Daniel. COE, stay on it. Double doors wide open. You just walk right in. I saw Larry Tipton walking out. He won't like this. Older than he looks on TV, pensive and reflective, walking out with his co-counsel. There you go. He might be pensive and reflective about the check he's getting in the mail or about his client. Finland, famous for their saunas. They are in the house here. I could go for a Finnish sauna. I'd be more interested in Finnish saunas, if I'm being honest, than I am in pheasants and quail hunting. Joe, I got to tell you one funny story, Joe. Did I tell you this story? Did I already?
I don't know. You haven't told it yet. I can't recognize it.
So I meet this. I think I told you this story at the beginning today because this is the funniest story. These guys are sort of straight out of Central Casting, as Karm would say, just good Southern gentlemen, but younger, early 30s. And they told me they knew Tim because Tim had to help them out. And that's a euphemism for some court stuff. But why did they have to help him out? Because they were pheasant and quail hunting in Tallahassee, which they do often, but they got lazy and they decided they were going to take a shot at one of the quail and pheasants from the passenger seat of their car on the shoulder of the road. And when they did that, a state trooper was right behind them. And you're not supposed to fire a shotgun out of your window of your cars. They got in trouble, and Tim Jansen made sure that they got out of trouble. But those guys were hilarious. So there are all kinds of interesting people. Sweden is in the house. Perth, Australia is in the house. Australia is, they are reeling from what happened there. It was what happened was in Sydney, but Perth, I'm sure, feeling it. There's a lot of hatred everywhere in the world. Joel, please don't share stories from the COE. Wow, these are good stories. I would like, Joe, what percentage of men who are in the St. Thomas Episcopal Church, if I was to blindly ask them what color were the bridesmaid dresses, what percentage of the men in there do you think would have an answer? You think it's just me?
I think if you asked, was it a scoop neck? Were the gowns sleeveless or long sleeve? Those sorts of questions that maybe a high percentage would not know. But I think black gowns, I would say 80% would have noticed.
Really? Does everyone else agree with Joe? Do you think that 80% of the men would have known what
that color?
By the way,
names.
Yeah, it's weird. I should have noticed that it was black. But isn't that beautiful? I'm not looking at anyone but my wife. Isn't that? It's amazing. I'm such a.
And what was he wearing?
Space Ghost says I probably would have noticed, but I grew up with only sisters. It's a good question.
Joe, you said you were looking only at your wife.
Yeah.
What was she wearing?
It was a black dress. Was it black, COE? It might have been like some kind of darker color, but it was a black, beautiful dress. That's all I know. I don't know how to describe a dress. It was a form-fitting black dress, and she had blue and like shoes with like a white tip toe, if that makes sense. Black velvet. Black velvet. Yeah, it was black velvet, Joe. Silly.
But he got black at least.
Yeah, I did. Black is formal. This is actually kind of funny. I've never done this in my life, but I did go to ChatGPT and I was like, what can I wear to a formal wedding that's not a bow tie and not a tie? And it gave me back either a bolo, but I'm like, I'm not in a, like the things like they wear in the Southwest. I'm like, I'm not in the Southwest, but it gave me, you'll like this, Joe, an ascot. So I wore a green, it's ridiculous, but I wore a greenish ascot, and I kind of loved it. I don't know if this is good or bad. Joel, your commentary feels like a Friday with Karm. I'm delirious. I'm if I'm being honest, I'm absolutely exhausted, but it was such a fun weekend. Hello from sunny South Africa. Joe, feel free to bring up the trial since that's what we're here from. We're on jury watch here, jury deliberations, 4 hours. This is an accurate clock here. They've now been deliberating. This includes a lunch break on Friday, 4 hours and 7 minutes. 4 hours. Look, everyone's testing me. What color was she wearing? The band was one of the best. I got to give them a shout out.
I was going to ask how the band was.
Band was one of the best bands I've ever seen. It was called ATL. They're from Atlanta, so it's ATL Groove something was the band. They were so good. What case is next, Joel? I think I'm going to cover. If you don't know Paul Canero, look it up. It is Caneiro, Paul Canero. It's a horrific case out of our home state, Joe and I, out of the Garden State, New Jersey. And then it's kind of coinciding with the Alexander brothers, who are 3 Miami brothers arrested for Diddy-esque crimes. The problem with that trial is it's not being televised. It's not being streamed. So I think we're going to do kind of 2 in 1 if Spacey and the mods can handle it, because it's a lot of work. But we get like a few week break because it doesn't start till after the new year.
So what does that mean about covering both? Will you go in person to the...
I was originally going to go to New Jersey to the trial, and I still might. I don't know.
But if one doesn't allow cameras and the other does,
well, I was going to sort of
in person and then stream the one in New Jersey.
I was going to stream the one live. I'm going to stream the one that's obviously being streamed, and then the one that's not being televised, I know some people who are covering it, and I'll be able to follow.
You rely on someone else.
And I can cover. I can look at all the reporting on it and then kind of put it together. So that's the idea, at least right now. Someone says 85% of the men would notice. I'm telling you that is that as a man, I can tell you that is 100% wrong. Yeah, I don't know. I live nearby the crime scene to Melvon Monkers. That is
What town was the murder?
Colts Neck, which is where Bruce Springsteen lives. So it's a
it's down the
very
shore
affluent.
area.
Yeah, it's an affluent. Yeah. There people are asking for pictures, COE, and then Joe, if you're a betting woman, do you think the verdict comes in before lunch? Everyone wants to know.
I am a betting woman, but I wouldn't put much money on my bet here. I would say, gosh, I don't know. I would have to. All I would do is throw up a coin, and whatever came up heads, I would pick. So I can't do it.
Denise,
When do you think it's going to come in, Joel?
I think I have no idea. However, I think before lunch, if you want to know the truth. But maybe because it's a Monday, they had to go into court. Maybe they're going to make it worth their while and sort of deliberate and just double check everything. And then, you know what? I'm going to go with right after lunch, like an hour after lunch. My husband would not have a clue either, Joel. The photos were amazing, beautiful, happy for Tim and his family. I hope he's back on STS again. Yeah. Tim will definitely be back. What is up with Wendy Adelson? That's the question. I was on Court TV this morning, which was kind of crazy because I forgot I had to do that. And they were asking me about Donna. And that's the question. What's up with that? Look at all the Serbs here.
What about Donna?
Not Donna. They're asking me about Wendy.
Oh, I was going to say, what's up with Donna?
They were asking me about the beef jerky with Donna. Did you hear that, Joe? That she was hoarding beef jerky and we did this on the show last week. She had 19 beef jerky sticks in her cell in Leon County. We got the public records. And we had a woman on the show Thursday night. She spent 31 and a half years in prison. 31 and a half years. She was 15 years old, grew up in a, bad environment, bad neighborhood, bad family, was dating a guy, got involved in a murder, and then was given a life sentence. And after she went in when she was 15, Joe, but because of new laws in North Carolina, her sentence was commuted at age 50. Or at 40, says after 31, she's now 50. She was in there. And she totally changed her life around. She was interesting. Brian Walshe will be found guilty for murder one of Anna Walshe. 58% believe this. 58%. I tend to agree here. The murder one is tough because of the premeditation. That's the only thing hanging me up on it, but I don't know. Look at this. Bonjour from Montreal, South Shore in Canada. Love the Canadians. Absolutely love them. I wasn't expecting today to have to talk incessantly, but here I am doing it. Elizabeth Kim, how long have we been in deliberations? And the answer is 4 hours, 12 minutes, 50 seconds. And that is with a 1 hour lunch, basically on Friday. So,
and some pause because of that question on Friday.
Yeah. This is it. Was the band, look at this. Greetings from Serbia. Thank you. Dada and the Pills Band. There we go. Appreciate that. But look at this comment. Was the band ATL Groove Factory? It was, and I think they're on Instagram. They were one of the best bands that I had ever seen. They were phenomenal. A really good band. If you're looking for a wedding band and you live in Serbia, they'll go there too. So ATL Groove Factory, that's the band. Joe Patuto, do you like a band or a DJ when you're at a wedding? What do you prefer?
Band.
Yeah.
Although I'm not averse to a DJ, but I like a band better.
Yeah. It's sort of amazing how much, and I'm not going to disclose this because I don't know the answer, but I don't know if I had to do it here comes all the hate mail. It's about to rush in right now. But if I had to do it all over again, and I didn't pay for it the first time with the COE. I just think there's money better spent than on a, like, what if you took all that money that you spend on a wedding and just invested it, Joe Pacino?
Maybe 40 fewer trees hanging upside down.
Am I a Grinch for saying that? I don't know. I don't want to go on a rant about education, about all this stuff now. It's all going to come full circle here. I don't know what's going on here. I didn't think premeditated until someone pointed out the phone.
Yeah, that's what the prosecutor, that was the other part.
What? Tell us, what is that about? I didn't know about that. I know about the necklace.
She told Jim Mutlu New Year's Eve that he had misplaced his phone.
Right.
And then I think it was 2 days later that he said one of the boys, mislaid it. I think it was 2 days later that one of the boys found the phone. But the phone wasn't pinging, but at 4 or 5 times over that period, the phone seemed to be charging or plugged into something that was active. And the prosecutor, what she drew from that was that he had deliberately told the story that the phone was not available in order to advance his plan to kill his wife, and that it was clear because of the fact that you could see that the phone was active that he hadn't. And I believe, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, did he send a text or something over that period when he claimed not to have had the phone? In any event, that's what the phone evidence is.
Yeah, and then her necklace was broken, which to me indicates a struggle. To me, that's a huge
and it was found on the rug that had the blood, and that was that piece of the rug. The prosecutor said, he was out on New Year's Day, dumping something in the trash and buying the Band-Aid and the antiseptic cream. And so she suggested from that you could certainly infer that he had killed Anna Walshe on that rug, cut it out, and that was what he threw out the first night. And that the antiseptic cream and the Band-Aids was because of the cut on his finger that happened because of the use of the knife.
Yeah, and primetime KCL, who I would want to be my jury foreperson, she just basically said the same thing, that the phone was his alibi.
Right.
You would not want me, as you just learned, I'm not very good with details. By the way, someone else said there's no way 85% of the men would know what color the bridesmaid. I'm tempted to call Tim live on air, but I won't do it. I'm curious if he even knows.
Oh, I'll bet he knows.
He knows, just because he probably had to know.
So anyway, I thought that tying up of the rug that definitely had blood on it, and it had the piece of the necklace on it, and the buying of the cream and the Band-Aid, and something was thrown out that night, and then he replaces the rug. That's what he did at Home Goods. Was a pretty good chronological explanation that would go towards premeditation. And the phone evidence. Forgot about the phone evidence.
People are agreeing with me. Fancy weddings are a waste of money. However, everyone loves them as long as they're not paying for them. So thank you, Tim. It was really amazing. Joe, they gave away at the end, you'll love this, like these fairly big nutcrackers. Like I would say nice. Like 2 feet in height, maybe 1.5 feet in height. They were pretty cool. And I think
that was the favor you got. That was nice.
Yeah, somehow and that wasn't the only favor, there were other things, but somehow the COE, I think, unless I dreamt this, she brought them back. I don't know how she would have done that. Yeah, look, I brought you one, Joe.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, they were cool.
I love nutcrackers. I think they're kind of neat. I don't know how you could crack a nut in one, but
yeah. I don't either, but it would fit right in your holiday motif behind you.
Yeah.
So as I sit here running out of things to say, now that we're at the 4 hour and 19 mark of jury deliberations, Joe, anything else that you want to add for right now? If not, I think, Joe, I see them in your background, so I bought them for you since we don't do Christmas at the Waldman house.
Well, that was very kind, but the COE, I'm sure they do Christmas at your parents'. So,
Yeah.
but very nice. I would love them. You got more than one, or did you get one each? It wasn't per couple; it was per person. At
You
the
know what?
wedding?
We each took one, and then we found out. So they had like these buses that took you back and forth.
Yeah, of course.
And we found out on the bus that it was one per couple, but by then it was too late because we each had one. Yeah.
Well, it was an innocent error.
You always meet like really funny people. So on the bus ride home, we sat with a bunch of people who went to the University of Georgia, and there was everyone in the South says sir, everyone's just so polite, but it was the dad of like a bunch of boys, and by boys I mean like 25-year-old guys and maybe a little bit older. Dad was having a very serious conversation with me, somewhat serious, and he had Christmas lights on his head, Joe, that were blinking. And his son was making fun of him. And he was
I
the
was
one
at
telling
a
me.
holiday concert. It was really beautiful. It was music from around the world. Not one thing they sung was familiar at all. They did the 12 Days of Christmas, but it was not. The 12th day was John Philip Sousa's March. They did music from around the world, but there was someone sitting behind me who had, those big lights that the big ones like this. He had them wrapped all over him, and he had some wreath thing on his head, and he had a green sweater, and I thought he was too much in the holiday spirit.
Yeah, sometimes it can be a little much. Joe Patuto, what do you think? We talked about this a little bit, but here's a more specific angle. What do you think the question they had on Friday indicates that they are thinking?
Yeah, and I think the question helps the prosecution. At least they're in the place that the prosecution wants them to be. They're looking at the photograph, of either the rug or Anna on the rug. And the prosecution case was she was killed on the rug. I believe that rug was in the living room. That's why it had blood on it. That's why it had the piece of the necklace on it, suggesting there was some sort of struggle there. And then he disposed of the rug. That's what he brought to the dumpster the first night when he was buying the antiseptic cream and the Band-Aids. And it was the knife that was found, in the cabinet above the refrigerator. So the fact that they're looking at that tells you that they're focusing on the Commonwealth's case with regard to his responsibility for the murder, and probably premeditation, because that was the thing that sequence was part of the Commonwealth's presentation, that it showed premeditation. So they're clearly focusing on what the prosecution's case was as evidence, I think, as evidence from that question.
Yeah. By the way, not to switch topics again, but we woke up to unbearable cold here, and it's cloudy, it's like hurricane windy, and it's got to be 68, 69, which is why I'm wearing the sweatshirt, the shirt, the undershirt. I should have long underwear on, Joe, but I don't yet. But it's
so Joel, you are the COE. There's a question here. If we go off and come back on, it will be a different live stream. It would be a different
COE. That's definitely a COE question. Here she is.
Yeah, so this is the plan, because some people are not able to watch all day with us because of work, life, etc. What we will do if there is a verdict.
Why go to work when they're surviving the survivor? Why work? All right.
We'll have a 10-minute notice. So what we will do is we will end this stream and immediately start the next stream, which on STS is called Verdict Reached.
Joe, do you have that link, Joe?
It's very obvious.
Okay.
Joe has it. And what we'll do on the STS channel is we will redirect you. So once this ends, you'll be redirected there. But if for some reason you get lost on YouTube, you can always head back to STS and you'll see that we'll be live. So in that 10-minute period, we'll be able to switch over quickly. And again, we will only have a 10-minute warning, but once you see that video go live, that means that a verdict has been reached, and that's what the thumbnail says.
So
it'll be-
anyone in this chat will not have to do anything, basically. If they want to just stay here, they'll be redirected automatically.
in theory, sometimes the redirect doesn't happen for maybe like 10% of the people. That's just life. So then just hop back on and find us.
Joe, I have a question that has nothing to do with anything, but the
And no
redirect-
pressure, Joel and Joe. We may be here for a long time. We're enjoying listening to both of you, but if you guys don't want to talk for 8 hours straight, you can also do other things.
Yeah, I have. I'm not gonna be able to talk for 8 hours straight.
I can talk for 8 hours straight, but I don't know that anybody would want to listen to me.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
So
actually great. It's very entertaining, so I'm enjoying it. All right, guys. I'm going to be here in the background.
Thank you to Elizabeth Kim. I love this super chat coming to me for this is a Space Coast question. I'm being bombarded with AI I hate those. My son listens to them about soccer. AI narrated YouTube videos. Where do I go to protest? I mean, I think it's all coming down to the world suing YouTube and the Google and Facebook. I don't know. You know, I used to like Facebook. Like I would go to Facebook and I would see like friends' photos. I don't even see my friends on Facebook anymore. I just see the dumbest ads, people I don't care about that I'm not even friends with. It's all become horrible. I mean, absolutely horrible. So there's going to have to be something new. I don't know what that's going to be. Joe Patuto, this is something I wonder about, Joe Patuto, and I worked in this business for this January if I had stayed in it, would be 30 years. I started in 1996. How does a television work, Joe? Like how do you...
I know, you just turn it on and there it is.
Yeah, like how are you sitting in your living room in New Jersey watching the Beijing Olympics in real time? Like what is going on from the camera to a satellite back into your television box? Who invented that, Joe Patuto? Like who? I mean, I know it was whatever did invent TV. I'm blanking on the name now. There was an RCA guy, but anyway, my point is,
one who never got credit and never made money off of it. There was a Broadway play about it.
How do you invent this, Joe?
I have no idea. I don't know how you invent anything. So, you know.
How does something bounce off a satellite in outer space and you see the image in Verdict Reach? What? Oh, FYI. The Verdict Reach show will only go live once there's a verdict. That way we don't confuse anyone. You just confused me.
But there is a possibility if there's another question, it would trigger this migration, because I don't know that we'll know whether it's, will they say it's a verdict, or we'll just know that the jury is coming back into the courtroom? Do we know that?
Say that one more time, Joe.
Yeah, yesterday when the question came out, some people thought it was a verdict, and my question is, will we know if we get a 10-minute warning whether it's a verdict or another question? Do we know? Has she said? I didn't hear her. Will she say we've got a verdict and get back in 10 minutes?
I really don't know. That's a great question. And this is another good question. Yeah, Bo Hobo, I'm glad I'm not the only one. It's really a sort of a miracle that these things get invented.
Yeah, that's what I do. I think it's a miracle, and I don't wonder about it, because I'm sure if I got the technical description, I wouldn't understand what I was being told anyway.
Like if everyone was me since the beginning of time, we would still be like cavemen. We'd have zero technology. We'd have zero advancement. We'd be in a lot of bad shape. But luckily, there's people who invent things and come up with things. But how you instantaneously get a picture, I just don't know.
How do you get a physical object out of a printer these days? You know, it can build
like a 3D printer.
Yeah, I saw one in operation, and
I've never seen one
back and forth like this. I don't understand it.
Like I don't even know what, like my I have a niece whose husband has a robotics company, and he codes all day. Like, I couldn't code. I have no idea. All I know is it's ones and you just have to type 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and hope it does something. I don't know. I mean, that's what coding is to me. Just typing the numbers 1 and 2. Anyway, Court Dog Daniel, are you still near in court? Do you know if
You
we're
could
getting
ask one of the officers whether the 10-minute warning will tell us whether it's a verdict.
Space Coast, of course, is coding right now. I don't even know what that means. I really don't know what that means other than the word coding. But like, why would you be coding, Space Coast? What are you doing? Trying to like create like an app for STS? What would you be coding on a month? It's 7 a.m. in California. What are you coding right now? I don't understand the 3D. I mean, this is what I don't get. That the guy accused, Luigi Mangione, accused in that horrible murder, he printed his gun. You know, you ever see one of the best movies, by the way, was In the Line of Fire with what's his name? Malkovich. That was such a good movie. And in that movie, he builds like a gun that can get past, it's about presidential stuff, but he builds a gun that can get past security. But now you can actually build a 3D gun.
Yeah, I asked someone about that. So someone in the chat correct me, but I think I was told that you can build the gun, but the works that would allow it to, the metal that would allow it to actually propel the bullet, you can't do on the printer. That you have to insert in this whatever it is, the plastic or however it comes out of the printer. All I know is that's what I was told. I have no reason to believe that the person who told me knew any more than I did, but that was the explanation I was given. But I've seen it. It's just, it takes forever, or at least at the time I saw it, it takes forever to go back and forth as it's building whatever it's building.
Yeah, that stuff is just way above my level of understanding. I hope this is not true. I'm leery about even putting it up here, but I'm not going to put it up. But Julie is asking if there's another shooting going on today. If anyone knows about that, I mean, it is America and it's Monday, so it wouldn't surprise me. I really don't know what's wrong with this country. I don't know what's wrong with this world right now. I'm not trying to sit here on a soapbox or a high horse, but things are definitely headed in a strange and dangerous direction. And I don't know.
There are more crazies out there, or with technology, there's more ability to do things that are more dangerous, have more killings than you could have before.
I think both. I also think that my own personal feeling on this is technology, social media is just making people sort of antisocial and crazy. Yeah. It's radicalizing people. The media is horrible. The media is broken. The media has just become this place where, they divide just to sell content.
Yeah.
And that's another huge problem. So
yeah, I agree with you. I think people are more understanding of others face to face, and you're more careful about what you say face to face, and you're more likely to listen face to face. And then when you're doing it all, distance learning and all of that it's just easier to block things out. And it's easier not to be courteous. And I think it all just builds. I think there are a lot of things to be said about people being able to work from home. Some people with children, there are all kinds of reasons, but I think the less that we're out interacting with each other, the worse for society as a whole.
Yeah. Someone said, go back to medieval times. I mean, you had like the Roman emperors who were like having people basically kill each other inside arenas. I mean, I think humans are just, personally, I think the world should just be filled with dogs and just get rid of it. If you got rid of the people, eventually we're going to destroy this universe, or at least the world that we live in.
If you had dogs, you never would have built it in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know. It would have been a little more simple, but we'd be better off.
It would be a lot more simple.
If humans didn't exist.
You'd have nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be a lot better without humans. That's look at this. Joel and Spacey, forgot to mention, I'm hosting the 4th grade Hanukkah party at school today at 1:15. So there is a 99% chance
Oh,
there
that's
is the
cute.
verdict.
What is this? The third day?
Second day.
Second day. Well,
Yeah.
happy Hanukkah.
Thank you.
Do you get a gift every day?
Not really. No, I don't. But the
How
kids,
about the kids? Do
the
they get
kids
one
love
every
it.
day?
Yeah, and my son wanted to open like every gift last night. I had to talk him out of it and explain to him that there's 8 more days, and he didn't care.
He's
What's
not a
up with-
believer in deferred gratification.
That's another problem with the world's instant gratification. These kids want this instant gratification. What's the matter with it? I'll tell you one of the cutest things. I missed my son's last Little League game or T-ball game, as it is. But the coach made them. Coach is awesome. Shout out to Alex, Coach Alex. But he got the kids on the team actual baseball cards, but with the kids in uniform playing. So it's like my son on the baseball card, and I asked my son to autograph it. So when I looked at the card this morning, it had his autograph. And I will have
I have a really many years ago, I took my nephew when he was 5 to the garden, to Madison Square Garden. There was a USA gymnastics meet, and he was sitting. We were down right on the floor level, and the gymnasts who were there were.
By the way, Alice just corrected me. I'm a little tired. It is the first day. Last night started last night.
It was the first day. No,
day
okay.
1. You're right. Tonight will be the start. Jewish holidays start in the evening, so tonight will be the start of 2.
Okay, so we're on the floor, and these gymnasts, and they were world-class gymnasts, and all these kids were going on the floor to get they had programs getting their signature on the program. And my nephew asked me for the program I had. So I gave it to him, and the person sitting next to him got up thinking that the 5-year-old was going to go out on the floor to get an autograph, and he took a pen and signed the program. So he observed the conduct, but did not correctly interpret what the conduct meant.
Oh man. Joe Patuto, I could talk all day, but again.
Yeah, and I can do my Italian homework while I'm waiting.
Yeah, I'm barely holding on today. Look at this. I'm interested in real quick. I'm taking my grandson to the World Cup. Trisha, that's incredible. Now tell me how you got tickets. That's what I'm interested in. Because I'm gonna definitely try to take my son.
The longer you wait, the harder it will be, and the more expensive the tickets will be.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
They're renting. People with houses here are renting out for the week.
Someone is saying that Rob Reiner's son is now in custody. The CSC.
Yeah, terrible.
So,
really
terrible. Awful. So we're following that story. Joe and I'm going to check in periodically. We're getting apparently a 10-minute warning, either about a question and or the verdict. Right now, you can see the clock up there, 4 hours, 37 minutes, 17 seconds that they've been deliberating. That includes a lunch. But Joe and I will both be here. We're going to do a couple of things. And by a couple of things, I mean, I'm going to stare into space, and Joe's going to do her Italian homework.
Right.
And then as soon as we get word of anything, we will be back. And again, we are going to redirect you to a different stream for the actual reading of the verdict. Yeah, so stick with us, and I will check.
Joe, let me just say one thing as you're going off. The other part, I should have said this, and somebody on the chat did, so thank you, nothing vile. The other part of that phone, being lost, he canceled that New Year's Day dinner reservation using the phone over the time he said the phone was lost.
Interesting.
I'm sorry for interrupting, but that was another piece of the prosecution's case.
That's a pretty big.
It is, and I don't know why I forgot it.
Okay. All right, everybody. Happy Monday. Keep your faith in humanity, although I'm not sure why we should, but let's keep our faith in humanity. 4 hours, 38 minutes, 30 seconds. I'm just going to pop Joe and I into the waiting room. We will be here the whole time. I'll be keeping an eye on it. I will pop back in just to make sure you guys are still paying attention. Please enjoy the chat. Please talk amongst yourselves, as they say. And Joe, you never know when Joe and I are going to pop back in. So we'll keep it going. Ciao, Professor Joe. If you need any help with your Italian homework, I'm
Well,
here
I
for
do, but I
you.
don't think you'd be the one I'd go to, so.
No, but this is Anita. Look, she's in the chat. She's from
Oh, I
Italy.
didn't look at that. Well, I can always use help.
Yeah.
I consider myself very, very good at English grammar, and I think
Yeah.
I am, but Italian grammar flummoxes me.
Yeah.
It's unbelievably complex.
Anita I was gonna say Thaltalian, but then I realized it's Anita the
The
Italian.
Italian, yeah.
Yeah, look at that. So thank you, Anita,
Well,
on
thank
behalf
you
of
for the
Joe.
offer.
Yeah. All right, we're here. I'm popping Joe out, popping me out, but we're here, and you never know when we're gonna bounce back in. So talk amongst yourselves. We'll be right back.
Hi, everyone. This is a COE here. We're hearing that there may be a verdict. So what we're going to do is switch over. We've stopped the clock now, and we're going to switch over to the new link. We'll see you guys all there. Thank you so much.